Hey everybody, this is Beth with Beth Muncy Creates here on Flosstube and also over on Instagram. It's been a while. I don't have a good excuse other than life got in the way, and I actually haven't done a ton of cross stitching. I kind of really got back into it in August, and I had a retreat in August and I was able to go to an LNS that I'd never been to in August, which really kind of got me hyped up, so to speak. So that's what brings me back. It's good to be back. I'm excited. I want to thank everyone who watched my videos previously. I appreciate it, and it's nice to know that people out there want to watch. So I wanted to talk last time about like how we got into Flosstube, right? So like how did this happen? And for me, it was probably around, it might have been around 2019. I can't remember for sure, but somehow I stumbled upon the Yakey Creek Stitcher. And she has a floss tube. She hasn't put out any new floss tubes for quite some time. And I miss her. She's the one who really got me into floss tube and down that rabbit hole, so to speak. She has a variety of projects and did a lot of good explanations on things that I didn't really know about. I've been stitching for a long time, but I had only been an Ada stitcher back in the 80s and the 90s, so linen and fancy floss and all of those things were new to me, and she got me introduced to those things as well. So go and give her a try if you haven't watched her before. And you know, that may be what I have you guys comment about down below, is not necessarily your favorite. I mean, maybe they're still your favorite, but who really got you started watching Flosstube? I think it would be interesting to see who inspired you to start watching Flosstube, and if they're still doing Flosstube. Sometimes I think it's fun to go back and watch old floss tubes as well. You know, we're kind of inundated with, you know, the new patterns and everybody's working on the new things, and sometimes it's fun to go back and watch the old floss tube videos to remind us of all of the good patterns that are out there and still available. So yeah, just let me know who got you started watching Flosstube. Okay, I do have some notes down here because, as I said on one of my previous videos, I can be a bit scattered, and so I kind of tried to come into this with a plan. I have a lot of things that I want to try and cover and make sure that I talk about today, so if you see me looking down, that's why. Everybody wants to know why we got, like, why we got started, right? Or what got us into cross stitching. As you can tell by the name of my channel, it's Beth Muncy Creates. I just love creating. I always say I haven't met a hobby that I didn't like. I may quit doing it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I didn't like doing it. I do a little bit of everything. I sew, quilt, cross stitch, obviously, crochet, knit, hand embroidery. At one point, I actually was making crocheted wire beaded jewelry. That didn't last for long, and I'll maybe see if I can find a picture and show in a future floss tube. It was kind of neat, something new I hadn't really done before. So yeah, so I'll try just about anything. My mom was an avid crafter. She was an excellent seamstress. She made all of our clothes growing up. She was an excellent quilter, but she did all of her quilting by hand. I can remember the big quilt frame. She'd have the big quilt frame set up, or we also had quilting bees at church, and when I was young, I can remember I would be underneath the quilt and you know, pulling the needle through and then poking it back up to someone so that they could quilt. So it was something that I've always been around. My grandmother, my dad's mother, was also, she did a lot of crafting and quilting and sewing. She's the one who taught me how to crochet. She also did a lot of handwork, like needlepoint and other kind of tapestry type things. So I come from a rich background of creating. Most of my aunts all enjoy doing some creating of some sort or another. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started. I also have a stressful job, and so cross stitch is a way to come home and relax, but also it's a way to stab things and not be in trouble. But that's enough about that. So let's get in. I'm going to start with previous FFOs. I had shown some of these on my previous floss tubes, and so I'm going to kind of keep you up to date, or up to month. I've done a lot of like monthly or seasonal stitching. I live in a tiny house, and so I don't have a lot of space to display things, and so the ability to change things out allows me to display the things that I love and still get a variety. So you'll see a lot of seasonal things, a lot of monthly things, and a lot of houses, because I really love houses, and that'll become evident as we go through this. So my first, sorry if I bumped the table there, my first fully finished is the Stitching with the Housewives month to month. This is September. This is done on 14 count Aida. I really am an Aida stitcher. I've tried other things, but other counts of fabric, but it was just too frustrating for me, and I did not want my hobby to be frustrating. So this finishing piece is a piece that I found actually at Big Lots. It had, I don't know if you can see the little holes on here, but it had I think it said "Bless This Home" on there, but I just took that off. I love windmills. I grew up on a farm in eastern North Dakota. At our barn, which ironically was a red barn, had a large windmill next to it. So yeah, this is the finishing piece. And so I just swap this out every month. The old washers and magnets is what I use. And it's nice because it just sits right back on there. So this is month to month September by Stitching with the Housewives. My next finish is, something was caught there, is the Cottage of the Month by Country Cottage Needleworks. I always get Country Cottage and Little House mixed up, but this is the September house, September Cottage. This frame is a frame I found at Hobby Lobby at least 2 years ago. I love it. It kind of has some movement on there. What I did here for finishing is it had the back piece had like some sort of saying on it, so I just put on a neutral plaid, and then again washers and magnets, so I can just switch that out every month. And again, that's September Cottage of the Month by Country Cottage Needleworks. And then my last previous finish is the Barn Star, the monthly Barn Star. This was by Kimberly. Did this at with Fat Quarter. And the star is actually the center of Lori Holt's flea market baskets. And so then Kimberly Jolly just did different colors for every season so that we can switch these out. Again, it's magnets. This is, oops, oh, it's all right. This is also a little star on a magnet. I actually was going to do some bows but I just never got that done. And the star I thought was kind of cute anyway. So this is just an easel that I have it on, but this finishing piece is actually from Chantelle's 141. I guess I wasn't getting very close, so sorry about that. I did the finishing myself, just used some chalk paint, a little bit of sanding. So that's the monthly barn star from Fat Quarter Shop and Lori Holt. So that's all my previous fully finishes. I did bring some of my just previous finishes. This first one is, I saw it initially on, I believe it was The Attic, when the Winds of Autumn book by Blackbird's Designs first came out. And this was a piece that they showed from it, and I fell in love with it because it reminded me of my grandmother, the one that taught me how to crochet. Her yard was full of big oak trees, and so there were a ton of acorns and a ton of squirrels. And so when I saw this on, I'll hold it back here so you can see the whole thing. When I saw this on The Attic, I knew that I had to do this for her. And so I'll get up close here. This is done on, I did it on 14 count Rustico with all of the called for fancy floss. I made one change, however, and that is the house. So I did the house in, I believe it's Classic Colorworks Old Money. It might be St. Bernard. Ugh, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's Old Money. Because this matches the house color that I remember my grandma's house being when I was growing up. And so that's why I did that. I'll get a little closer. I just love that. And then I put the year that she was born, and then her initials. Oops. I put, oh gosh, sorry. Her initials there. Her name was Evelyn Sylvia Munsabraten. Her maiden name was Amundsen, but nobody wants to hyphenate Amundsen Munsabraten. So yeah, one more look. I can't believe I've had this done for a while. I cannot believe I have not got this framed yet. In fact, I may leave it out of my box of shame so that I will get this framed, because I absolutely love it, and every time I look at it, I think of my grandma, who I loved dearly and miss every day, even now. So that is Mighty Acorn by Blackbird's Designs from the Winds of Autumn booklet. The other previous finish I brought is from Fat Quarter Shop when they do their charity stitch along. This was Serendipity. This was a few years ago. They do those for Make-A-Wish Foundation. So you get the pattern. They do both a stitch along and a quilt along, and so you get the pattern by just making a donation. I changed up the fabric and the floss. The floss colors are colors that I absolutely love. Yellows, purples, greens, and kind of some cream in there. And then again, this is on 14 count Ada. So I haven't got this framed yet either, and I should, because I do love it. But you know, it's one of those things where you just don't get them done sometimes. So those were two of my previous finishes. I do have, like I said, a box of shame that was more full than I anticipated when I opened it to get those projects out. So I guess I'll have some work to do, as well as have some things to show you as we go along. I just noticed that plug-in right behind me gives me a weird bump on my head, but that's okay. So that was my finishes and my previous finishes and my previous fully finished objects. Now we're going to talk about whips a little bit. I participate in WIPGO. I have done that for the last few years, but admittedly I don't want to say failed, but it just didn't work well for me. WIPGO is a, well, it's like a bingo board, and every month 2 numbers are called, and you do the projects that are linked to those numbers. Jessie Marie Does Stuff is, I think, who kind of came up with the brainchild, it's always called. So you can go to her videos and she'll be able to give you more descriptions. There are also various versions of this. I know Two Needles Pulling Thread, whom I absolutely love, another favorite of mine. They do something called Boss Me. Again, same thing, draw 2 numbers every month, and it has corresponding projects or tasks for you to do. I know they will sometimes have like spend a day fully finishing, or clean the craft room, or things like that on their board as well. And then the Floss Boss and Cousins, who I also enjoy, have something called the Heifer Board, and again, it's the same principle. So you can either go and check out Jessie Marie Does Stuff. She has several videos on the WIPGO, and then Kathy and Missy always explain Boss Me on every one of their floss tubes, and I believe Kelly and Christy do as well for their heifer board. So again, I do WIPGO, and for the month of August, I can't remember the numbers that were pulled, but I should tell you what I do. So instead of putting projects on there, I this year put on themes or seasons. So some of the things I put on there this year was Christmas, winter, fall, Halloween, spring, pattern in a series, standalone pattern with a house. I can't remember if I said animals, but close to a finish. Just prompts, and that's how I did my WIPGO this year, and I really have actually loved it, because what happened for me a lot of times is when the WIPGO number was called and the project attached to that number wasn't something that I was really, I just didn't want to work on it at that time. And so this way it still lets me participate, but I have a little bit of flexibility as far as what projects I work on. So again, I don't remember the numbers. And frankly, I don't remember what my prompts, but one of the prompts was Christmas, and the other prompt may have been stitch a series with a house. So I'll show you those 2 WIPGO projects. Something new that I started doing as well, because I did have, like I said, or maybe I didn't mention, but I had some health problems, frankly, since February, that really just kind of put a kibosh to the stitching. And so when I finally started feeling better, I really got truly back to stitching in August. I wanted a way to kind of to give myself some goals. I do better if I have goals. And so what I said was I wanted to stitch, try and stitch 100 stitches a day, which is not much. Anybody can stitch 100 stitches a day, and so that was kind of my goal. And so you'll kind of hear me talk about how many stitches and how many days. I don't know if it's something I'm going to continue. Right now it is, because I feel like it motivates me, and it allows me to be able to see the things that I see progress, which I think that's what we all want, is to see progress. So again, I apologize for bending out of camera, but it's just not enough room for everything. So the first, my first WIPGO was doggone it, Houses on Wisteria Lane, and I am doing that. It's 9 houses, and I am doing that all on one fabric. I'm just going to try and find the first house pattern here for you, and of course I don't have them in order. That sounds about par for the course, doesn't it? Yes, talk amongst yourselves. Be with you momentarily. Here it is. So the first The first house is the Wisteria house, and again, this is by Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery, and I hope there won't be too much glare, but there probably will be. There, that's not bad. So this is Wisteria house. Now she does fancy floss, but also posts a DMC conversion. I'm also doing her houses on Peppermint Lane and houses on Pumpkin Lane, and for those two, the houses I'm doing with the fancy floss. This one I am not. I am frugal with my money. If a pattern calls for a fancy floss and literally there's only like, you know, even 100 or 200 stitches in the project, but they're real kind of scattered, they're not a block of color where you wouldn't see the variegation, I will just use the DMC. That gives me a chance to then buy more patterns and fabric. So, so for this wisteria house, again, I'm stitching all of the houses on one piece. It's 16 count pewter, and I'm using the called for DMC on this. Now, on this pattern, she does have several instances where if you're using the DMC, you would actually make a blend. So you'd use one strand of one color and another strand from another color. This was really popular back in the 80s and 90s. Paula Vaughn did lots of patterns like that. I'm used to stitching like that. It doesn't bother me, and I think it gives a nice, some variegation to it. So, so that's kind of, if you're somebody who wouldn't like that, or if you only stitch with one floss, so if you were doing like this over 18 or even a higher count, then the blended floss wouldn't work for you. So this is where I got for Wisteria House. I'm quite pleased with the amount of stitching I got done. Literally when I started, I'll try and pop a picture up of where it was when I started, but I'm not very techie, so I wouldn't hold your breath on that. But when I started, I just had these two done and this done, so pretty much all of that is new. So that's the Wisteria house. Again, that's by Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery, and I again have all of her house series so far. So for this one, I only stitched 4 days, but I was able to get 532 stitches out of those 4 days. So I'm quite happy with the amount of progress that I made on that, which is one of the reasons why I was, well, I'll talk about that in plans, but oh, I should show you the floss too. I did pull the floss ring out. Here is the floss ring for all of the, don't mind the mess, but here it is on the pewter. So yeah, it's gorgeous. Those colors are luscious. All right, so that was my WIPGO, one of my WIPGO pulls for August, and so now that one goes back into the bin, so to speak, and we'll be moving on to something else. Oh, I forgot that pattern. The other pull for August was Christmas, and I do have several Christmas patterns going. The one I decided to work on is by Tiny Modernist, the Yule Goddess. I will tell you right now, I am obsessed with the Tiny Modernist patterns because I'm doing 2 more of hers, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But the Yule Goddess, and she has a couple of other goddesses. I think there's the Stitchy Goddess and maybe the Witchy Goddess, but they're pretty cute as well. But here's the Yule Goddess. I just love that. It gives me kind of a Scandinavian vibe, and I have Scandinavian heritage, so when I saw this, I knew I had to do it. So yeah, I just absolutely am in love with that. So this I am working on 14 count Ada. It's a mystery Ada. It was one I think I just got on a Stash Unload site. And I'm using all the called for DMC. And so here is how far I got. And literally the only thing that I had done on this when I picked it up was the moon. Everything else on here I did this month. I worked on this one quite a bit. I really can see, so there's her antlers, and then some of her hairs coming in there. And you can you kind of see that light gray there? Yeah. There's some back stitching in there. These are all like Christmas lights up here, and I just haven't put the back stitching in yet. So yeah, that's the Yule goddess on a mystery green fabric of 14 count Aida. Now for her, I stitched 1,008 stitches, and I worked on it for 6 days. So again, I feel like I got quite a bit of stitching accomplished on just that small amount of time. So again, I was quite pleased with that. Oh, here's the flosses. I forget to do that. And that's sometimes the best part of a project, isn't it? So here's the flosses, the called for DMC. Just, I can't wait to get more of this blue in there, those blues and greens, this deep burgundy color. So yeah, that's gorgeous. So that is, again, the Yule Goddess by Tiny Modernist. That is also going back into the vault, so to speak, and I'll work on that again when I get to it. So those are my whips. I'm going to talk about my new start. So my new start is Owl Forest Embroidery-Black Vintage Sampler. Now, I, for the life of me, cannot remember who the floss tuber was that got me onto this pattern. It's really glary, and I'm sorry, but it has a real Victorian steampunk vibe to it, and I am just in love with it. Now, when I had my original plans for this, I was going to just do, I was going to do eggplant, Weeks Dye Works eggplant, which I think I've got a skein of that in here. And I was going to do it on like platinum or something like that, maybe a light gray. But then I was digging through my fabric because I needed to get some fabric for another new start that I'll talk about in a minute. And I found a piece of Huckleberry by BeStitch Me. Now, BeStitch Me fabrics are freaking amazing. Like, I don't know why I'm not in her Fabric of the Month club, but I'm not. However, I will fight you on the Friday night fight nights when she does those. Anyway, so this is actually 16 count Huckleberry, and I'm using just one strand, which is unusual for me because typically I will use 2 strands even on 18 because I just like a lusher, fuller cross, I guess. And so this is my start so far. So this is Weeks Dye Works eggplant on BeStitch Me Huckleberry. And to say I love this would be an understatement. Purple is my favorite color. Ugh, I'm in love with it. So this one I am actually going to work on. I'm going to try to do, again, I'll talk more in plans, but I'm going to try to do 1 thread a day on this, since it is a monochromatic sampler. So that's my goal with that. And I came pretty close. I forgot to bring my card for that one. So, oh, I think I have it right here. Oh, I didn't add up my stitches, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, So I worked 11 days out of the month on that one, so that's not bad. But yeah, so that's my black vintage sampler by Forest Embroidery that I am in love with. Okay. The other new start I had is by Tidy Modernist. She was at the Midsummer Stitch put on by Lindy Stitches, Stephanie from Lindy Stitches. She also puts on the Jingle Ball, which if you do not do the Jingle Ball, you're crazy. It is the best $10 you'll ever spend. And so this was just a one-day event, and the Tidy Modernist was there, and shoot, I've just blanked out on her name. Oh, you guys know who I'm talking about. Anyway, she was showing some of her projects, and behind one of her shoulders, I saw what looked like the start of a cuckoo clock. Now, I love cuckoo clocks. I grew up with a cuckoo clock. I would kill to have a cuckoo clock again. I asked my dad for our family cuckoo clock, and he says they don't have it anymore, which didn't make me very happy, but whatever. So yeah, I love cuckoo clocks. So she is having a mystery sale. Now, I want to make something very clear. I hate mystery sales. I've been burned by them before, and I just don't do them. Once the whole pattern comes out, if it's something that I really enjoy, then I'll gladly do it, but I don't do mystery sales. So not only am I now doing one mystery sale, but I'm doing two mystery sales, both by the Tiny Modernist, and both of them have to do with cuckoo clocks. So the first one that I have worked on is the Haunted Cuckoo Clock. That's the current sale. There are now 3 sections out. The last section, she sends out them the beginning of every month, and so the beginning of September she sent out the 3rd section for the Haunted Cuckoo Clock. I've been working on this since July 27th, and I've worked on this quite a bit. I didn't count up my days, but this is the one that I have worked on just about every single day. I am doing this on 18 count honey, again by BeStitch Me. I would like to once again say I love BeStitch Me fabrics. Brandy, you do an amazing job. The colors and the fabric are just amazing. So this is the Haunted Cuckoo Clock. Now I'm not quite finished over here. You can see I've still got some fill in over here, and then now she has released the top part of the cuckoo clock. So that's what I have. The tombstones will have some back stitch in them, and I haven't done the back stitching yet either. I love this so much. Now I don't have a printout for this, and if I can insert a picture, I will try and insert a picture of everything that she sent out so far. But again, don't hold your breath. Again, this is DMC, and here are the colors, and again, they are amazing. Let's see, I gotta find that purple in there. So the purple and the orange and the yellow and the gray and the black and the white and the, so good. So again, this is the Haunted Cuckoo Clock by Tiny Modernist. And again, I will try and put up a picture of how much she has sent out for that one as well. So I mentioned 2 mystery start-alongs, which again, I want to say I hate, just so that everyone knows how I feel about them. If there's one thing I've learned in my life, it's never say never, because every time I say I'm never going to do something, guess what I do? Yeah. So the newest cuckoo clock mystery stitch along is the Christmas Cuckoo Clock, and she has sent out the first, and it's the clock face. And again, if I can insert a picture, I will do so, but if not, please, get on the internet and find it, because it is so cute. So They called for hazy gray, or she called for hazy gray fabric. I had some gray fabric that was similar to hazy gray. I didn't like it with the floss. And so I again went through my stash. I would like to give everyone a guess on what fabric I decided on. Believe it or not, I dye a lot of my own fabrics, but for right now, I guess I'm obsessed with BeStitch Me. But yeah, here are the floss colors. Now this is a mystery piece of opalescence. I believe this, a friend actually may have given this to me, but look at those colors on there. I just thought on that blue sparkle, wintry nights, oh, look at those pinks on there. Oh, there's some turquoise. Oh, this bright green over here. Oh, golly. Yeah. So I have not started, obviously, the Christmas cuckoo clock yet. I don't know when I will. Soon. I mean, it's in my plans. I just am not for sure when. So that, again, this is, yeah, it is 14 count. I put medium blue opalescent Ada. So called for DMC. All right. So that's kind of my whips and my new starts. I'm going to go over to plans. So we kind of talked about some of my plans already. I'm going to work on the Black Vintage Sampler. I'm going to try and do one strand a day. I already haven't done that because I didn't do a strand yesterday because I was working so much on the Haunted Cuckoo Clock, but they're not set in stone, so I'm not going to stress about it. And maybe I'll do 2 strands today to catch up, who knows. So that's my goal for that. The Haunted Cuckoo Clock and my Christmas Cuckoo Clock, I really want to try and stay up on the sales. We have a month to do each section, which is, I think, fairly doable. So those are going to really be my focus projects for the month. And then I had Whip Go, right? So this month for September, number 4 was called, which for me was close to a finish, and number 11, which was animals. And so I'll show you the 2 projects that I have chosen for those pulls. The first one is my animals pull, and I decided to work on the Hello Pumpkin by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. I love this so much. I have the fall one and the winter one, and I definitely want the spring one and the summer one. I just have to get it, you know how that goes. And so, oops, I'm sorry. My goal was to not do the zippers, and then I did them anyway. So I am doing this just on plain old 14 count Ada. I am using the called for DMC. This is how far I am. And so it'll be fun to see how far I can get. I love that little hedgehog. I love hedgehogs. So cute. So yeah, that's Hello Pumpkin. That is my draw for this month for animals. Here are the flosses, again called for DMC. I love her color palettes. Caterpillar Cross Stitch too. It's kind of not what you would expect for an autumn piece, but I tell you, they come together so nice. So again, that is Hello Pumpkin by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. That's going to be my Whip Go project, one of my Whip Go projects for the month. I can't remember if I said, I alluded to kind of one of the things that I was going to do, and that was when I went back and looked at my cross stitching, on one of my projects I got 500 stitches done, and on another one I got 1,000 stitches done. And so my goal is for my Whip Go projects is to get between 500 and 1,000 stitches. I want to get at least 500. stitches in each project during the month. And then if I get that grade, I'll keep going. And if I could get 1,000, I would just be thrilled to death. So the next project is the Close to a Finish project. And this is the Count Twice, Stitch Once by the Primitive Hare. It's a snail. My goddaughter loves snails. This was a Nashville exclusive for 2018, or not a limited edition. And so I don't think you can get these anymore. So I apologize for that. But I was watching Helen D's Flosstube, and she showed this because she had finished it. And I sent her a message and say, hey, could I buy that from you? Or would you loan it to me and let me stitch it, and then I'll send it back? And she said, yep, no problem, and just sent it right off in the mail to me. That's the other thing that I love about this community. Everyone's so helpful and just kind, and nobody is trying to one-up somebody else. And so that's just, that's the nice part about it. I was watching Flosstube, and again, I should have paid attention, but somebody was talking about they had been messaging somebody. I think she had put it on Instagram and was asking about what kind of fabric she thought she should do for a project. And somebody just, you know, messaged her and said, hey, I have a great piece of fabric. I think that would go great, and mailed it to her. And that's just the way we are. So, okay, so this is the snail, Count Twice, Stitch Once by the Primitive Hare. Like I said, this is my Close to a Finish, and you can see it is, I just pretty much just have to do right here, and then the needle, and then some back stitching. So this I'm using the Called For, both DMC and Weeks, I believe. Gentle Arts. Brick Path and Raspberry Frost are the, oh, and then the Threadworks, like Krynic type thread. So here's that. And so again, this is just a piece of 14 count rustico or oatmeal that I'm doing this on. This is the Primitive Hare, Count Twice, Stitch Once. I just call it the snail. It is my Whip Go project to complete. Okay, whoa. I'm trying to keep things together as best I can. I think that's all for my plans. I will quickly just say, which kind of brings me to retreats. I'm going to talk about retreats real quick. I am going to the Stitch West October retreat, where Hands On Design, Kathy Haberman, is the guest designer. And some fellow stitchers, local stitchers, and I are going, and we're going to do a block party. I have the B one. I have it kitted up. I don't know if I'm going to start it, because I don't know if I would finish it. I don't want to be stressed about finishing it, because I do have an idea for some table gifts that I want to do, and I'd also like to participate in the Smalls Exchange this year. And so I need time to get those done, as well as work on my current projects. And so I don't want to turn it into hurry up and finish. I gotta hurry. I don't want it to be stressful. So I don't know if I'll start the block party or not. I didn't even bring that up to show. It's the B one. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's done on the dark fabric, black or chalkboard or something like that. So, which again, kind of doubling back to retreats. My first retreat, the first retreat I'd ever been to, other than the Jingle Ball, in-person retreat, was Stitch West in April. It was amazing. I can remember hearing Flosstubers say, get to a retreat, and I just thought, oh yeah, it's not out here where I live. I live in southeast Washington, right next to the Idaho and Oregon border, right in that corner, literally nothing around us. My local stitching group, I drive 2.5 hours up to Coeur d'Alene. it doesn't have to be a big retreat. Just get some friends together. I tell you, I drive that 2.5 hours up to Coeur d'Alene, at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, to just get up there and stitch with those gals for about 4 or 5 hours, and it is refreshing. It is therapy, and it is how I fill my soul. I'm not even going to use that phrase, filling your cup or filling your bucket. It fills my soul. And so if you can't get to a retreat, just find a group of people, or get on a Zoom call, or get your own Zoom call started, or watch Flosstube if nothing else, because it's just, the camaraderie is really amazing. Like I said, I am going to the Stitch West October, and I am signed up for the Stitch West April 2025. After I went this past April of 2024, I said I'd never miss another Stitch West retreat. Snug Harbor Crafts puts that on, and Debbie and Kefren just do an amazing job. And it was, the first one I went to was Primrose Cottage Stitches was the guest designer, and they are amazing. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. So that's my plans. 100 stitches a day, 1 strand a day in my Black Vintage sampler, and my goal is to put between 500 and 1,000 stitches in my 2 Whipco calls. And then, just in case you haven't gotten the hint yet, I hate mystery sales, but now I'm doing 2 of them. Okay, I'm going to talk about haul a little bit. We were also lucky enough to have a local retreat in Idaho. Joyful Stitching, Deborah, put on a local retreat in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, August 8th, 9th, and 10th, I think it was. It was amazing. She did an amazing job. I know she's planning on having another one. She may try and have 2. I will keep you updated on when they may be. She really did a great job. She also has an Etsy shop. She makes amazing project bags. In fact, this project bag right here is one that she made. I keep my Hello Pumpkin project in it. So it's a Joyful Stitching store, I think, on Etsy. So yeah, so we had a retreat there, okay? I am going to show you what we got for the retreat. First of all, we got this bag. And in that bag came this little goodie bag. This is how it was packaged, neater, obviously, because I've taken mine apart and put it together so many times. And I'm looking forward to taking it apart for the last time today, so that I can finally get it into everything. I'm not going to show you all the haul that I've gotten since the last time I filmed, because it's a lot, and I mean, sometimes that gets boring to look through. But it's always fun to see what we got at retreats, I think. So the that's my door creaking. The designer spotlight or featured designer was Jeanette Douglas, and I don't know if you guys are all familiar with all of her the Chubby series. So she has, sorry, I'll try and get that closed. She has Chubby Bee, Chubby Bunny, Chubby Fox, Chubby Bird, Chubby Fox, did I say that? So in our packet, we all received one of the Chubby series. So I received the Chubby Bunny, super cute. And then Jeanette Douglas is releasing this, but she released it early to our retreat, and that is Chubby Squirrel. Now, I know somebody that is going to be particularly interested in this, Melissa, and I think there might be one either on its way or coming to you. Along with that, we did receive 2 Lady Dot, sorry for the glare, but one brown, one black finishing trims. We did receive some of the floss and a little floss ring in there. Sorry for the glare. There, that's better. A couple of little eyelash wands, and then 2 of those tiny little hoops. It was funny because one of the ladies at the retreat was like, "What do you do with these?" And I said, well, somebody last year at the retreat literally made 600 because she gave one to every, she had 2. One was an anchor and one was a bee in those little tiny hoops to every attendee, and there's about 300 attendees. It's at Stitch West April, so it can be done, and they're cute. I should try and find them, and maybe I will for another floss tube. She also gave us 2 little fat quarters as well as some finishing fabric. There were some things in there that I've already taken out. She gave us a needle minder. There was also like the snag nabbit tools. It seems like there was something else that I'd already taken out, but I don't remember what it was. But this was our goodie bag, and goodie it was. Now, Jeanette Douglas also had a trunk show there, so she had several samples that were already done, as well as patterns for sale. So I did buy, and then Deborah does have some floss and things as well in her store, and so I did buy some things from her. One of them was this Fortnite fabric. I love that color. It's purpley, if you couldn't tell. And then this 18 count Stormy Cloud. I just love this. I don't know why. I'm taking it out of the package because I love this fabric. I don't know, I just do. It's kind of a bluey gray clouds on white. I just love it. I'll put that back later. The patterns that I bought from Jeanette Douglas were just 2 of the Sew Together series. So I got the pins and needles, which I thought would be cute, you know, for a retreat small exchange. And then I got the scissors and threads. And I love all of them. I think there are 12 maybe, 11 maybe. There's like ribbons and bows and linen and flax and the sampler and letters and numbers and just all kinds of them. So Sew Together is the series by Jeanette Douglas. So I got 2 of those. And then at retreats there are free tables, freebie tables. So people bring anything from patterns, fabric, just anything and everything you could want. And so some of the things that I got were these Hello Winter, Hello Spring, and Hello Fall. Hello Summer is also out there, but Mandy and I are going to be, we're sharing custody of that one. So one of us will be stitching it and then giving it to the other person. Among the other freebies on that table is this stack of goodness. There's several magazines. The yellow fabric is 4 yards. The grayish fabric is 3 yards. There's fat quarters, just ridiculous. And I held back. I mean, nobody went without anything. I mean, there was a ton of stuff there. So that was the retreat in Coeur d'Alene. So that was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So for people that are, you know, in the Pacific Northwest and trying to, you know, find a retreat to go to, fairly local, reasonably priced as well, and I look forward to doing other retreats with Deborah. Now, one of the other things that she had is she had somebody there who was an expert finisher, And doggone it, I forgot her name too. Jeez, terrible. She showed us how to do cording. Okay, I've always wanted to learn how to do cording. I have the tool, but I'm really kind of a hands-on type of person, so this was right up my alley. So we made cording. And then on the midsummer stitch, she had one of the things that Lindy had on there, or Stephanie had on there, was somebody showing us how to make the retreat boxes or stitching boxes. And so they had 3 sizes. I bought all 3 sizes. I've only gotten one finish. This is the first one. I did this at the retreat. Here's my finish. I made that cording, and then that. I may do something else with it, or I may just leave it. And then this was one of the retreat gifts. And this was another one. If I can hold it up. It's a flamingo, and then there's a little tag that says, don't forget, never forget how flamazing you are. So so that was what else we did at the retreat. It was such a fun retreat. It was obviously a smaller retreat, maybe 25 to 30 women. One of the kind of neat, unique things that she did was, at all retreats, there's always the bell for a finish, right? Well, we also rang the bell when we had to frog, because she wanted frogging to not be so miserable. And so she had a little stuffed frog, so when we had to frog, we went up and rung the bell. We got to take the stuffed frog to comfort and console us. She had a box of like green floss, and so we could take a floss, and then she had a whole bunch of like frog and toad stickers, and so then we could take a sticker. It was an amazing idea. I love it. I hope she continues to do it. Probably not feasible at a really large retreat, but it was so much fun for this, because we could all commiserate with each other when they came up and rang the bell because of the frog. So that was fun. Now, the other part of my haul is, as I said, from the Lake City retreat in Coeur d'Alene. I then went to, maybe I didn't say it, but I went to the Oregon coast to spend a few days with my family. We have to drive through Portland, which is where Acorns and Threads is. Now, I've lived in this area for, gosh, 12 years now. We go to the coast, the Oregon coast, just about every single year, sometimes more than once a year for vacation or just a few days. I've never once have been able to make it to Acorns and Threads, because I was either coming through Portland later, so they were closed, or when I was coming home, it was on days that they were closed. Not this time. This time I was able to go. Now keep in mind, there isn't really a stitching shop close to us. The closest one for me is in Richland, Needful Things, and there are kind of varying hours, kind of tough to get there. And then Issaquah, Washington has another, has an LNS there. I've not been there before, but I've got some friends saying that we need to go. I wouldn't turn that down. So this is my haul from Acorns and Threads. Now, if you do not live somewhere near an LNS, and so you're going, I encourage you to have a plan and prepare to be overwhelmed. Because for as big and as many samples as you expect there to be, it's even more, and it can be overwhelming. And I didn't really go in with a plan, and so it was overwhelming, but I was driving myself, so I could stay as long as I wanted, and I did. So I looked through, I bet you I circled that store 6 or 7 times, looking at all of the samples, looking at the patterns, looking at the floss, looking at the fabric. And so here's what I came up with. All right. I have wanted this pattern for a long time. It is by Cottage Samplings. It's the October 31st. I just love this so much. So I got that, and I did get some floss. Now, it's been so long, I have to try and remember what my idea was with the floss. Not smart, Beth. That's that. That's that. I think my thought, yes, my thought was, the called for the bird was tin bucket and a blue that I just didn't think looked right. And so I ended up choosing, I'm going to use Blackbird and coal are what I chose for the Blackbird. And when I get this fully kitted up, I'll have to show you what I decided. But that's 2 of the flosses. And that's what I'm going to use for October 31st. And if you will excuse me, I'm going to put these flosses in here so that I don't forget what they're for. Because that's usually what I do. The next pattern that I found, I saw it up on the wall. And I fell in love with it. Now, this is not a good picture of the pattern. It's called turkey dressing. And it is pilgrim clothes out on the line. So cute. And so what I decided to do there is I picked up this vintage stormy white Ada, and I think that's what I'm going to do it on. And I'm going to use espresso bean from the Simply Shaker. It's kind of more of a brownie black, because in my mind the pilgrims' clothes were brown. I don't know why. And then I couldn't decide on white, because obviously white probably wouldn't show up on the greatest on here. And so then I picked out a couple of kind of creamy yellowy colors, because I thought, let's face it, the pilgrims aren't going to have bright white. So that was my thought process there. And that's what I'm going to use for turkey dressing. Turkey dressing is by Raise the Roof. She has DMC and Fancy Floss. I'm going to do mostly DMC and then the Fancy Floss for the clothes. And then I've been wanting to get this. I can imagine you will know why. It's the cuckoo, is it the cuckoo sampler? Cuckoo bird sampler. I love cuckoo clocks. I love Brenda and Laura. And so I had to get this. I think I'm going to do this in honor of Brenda and Laura as a red sampler. I may save this for my blessing sampler for January. We'll see. I had a couple of other ideas too, and I just have to decide. I did a blessing sampler this year. I'll show it in another video. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I did Be Not a Dunce by Mama Loves You GB. I love her. I love that it says Be Not a Dunce. Honestly, it's a motto we should all live by. So I did pick up another piece of fabric. This is the Cedar River 18 count Ada coffee stain. And then I also picked up Atomic Ranch Bayou. And I think my plan was to do the Blackbird October 31st on this. But I didn't make a note, so who knows? Anyway, oh, here's a couple of other white that I was deciding to use for the, it's gonna blow that out, to decide for the pilgrim's clothes. Of course, I had to get, because I've always wanted one and I've never gotten one, and if I'm at Acorns and Threads, I have to get a gauge. And then I also picked up, I thought I picked up the needle binder, but I got the floss, or I mean the pole. It's really glary. So that's my Acorns and Threads haul. Wow, I didn't think that would be an hour, but here we are. I don't think I have anything else. Just going to look back. I think I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about. Just as a reminder, if you want to leave a comment, you of course don't have to, but if you want to, let me know who your first floss tuber was. Who was the floss tuber that really kind of got you down the rabbit hole, so to speak. As far as the schedule, I'd like to say every 2 weeks, but to be honest, I just don't know that I'm going to have enough progress every 2 weeks. And so for right now, I'm going to say a month. I'm going to try and do a new floss tube kind of at the beginning of the month. That way I can kind of show my progress on my Whip Go, show what I'm going to do for Whip Go, and then anything else that I may be working on. I may pop in with a short here and there. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I really do appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. If you don't do Flosstube, you should try it. It's a way to talk about things that you enjoy to people who enjoy them, because trust me, my family doesn't really enjoy it. And so it's just nice to be able to talk to people who understand. Yeah, so I'm going to shoot for the first part of October. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.